All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Korean Atlanta Mentorship. And in this video, we're going to react to a video by Robert C Eidson. I think that's how you pronounce his name. From Nashville, I think. 5 months ago, 381,000 views. So this video has been popping up on my feed and seems like it's been resonating with a lot of people. And the title is Never Go Back to Old Relationships, Towns, or Jobs. So let's go ahead and watch and play and see what's up and what we can learn.
Hope you guys are having a great weekend. I just want to jump on there and holler at you guys, man. I was kind of missing you. Man, today I had to drive all the way back to my hometown to freaking vote. I had to go. I'm still registered in Kentucky where I'm from, and I haven't changed the registration. And I waited too long, for the mail-in ballots and all that mess. So there's nothing nobody could do for me. Today was the last day for early voting. So I was like, hell, whatever. I just woke up. I drove about 150 miles all the way back home to go vote. I felt them. This will probably be the last time I vote, unless something like this happens again in life. But really, I don't think I'll be voting any other election. I'm not sure, though. We'll see how crazy the world gets. Um, I'm not a very political guy. I don't really like politics a whole lot. I don't really follow it too much because it's out of my control. You got
You know what I just noticed right now? I noticed his books. So I think I know who he voted for. See, I would vote, but I'm just too lazy to register. So kudos to this man for actually voting. But I think I know who he voted for.
guys already know I like to focus on my controllables. But the reason I jumped on here to tell you guys a story is because as I went back home to vote and I did my voting, got all that mess out of the way, I kind of rode around my hometown and looked around, and I was just like, man, like you can't go back. And it just reminded me that you can never go back. Whenever you leave, a town, a job, a relationship, a friendship, whatever it is, you can't go back to it. Because where you've probably elevated as a person, you've leveled up your life. You've maybe you left some situation or a relationship, and you started working on your mental, physical, and financial health. Really dove deep into personal development, got real spiritual, or whatever it is. There's no sense in turning around and going back, because it's very likely that that person or that place or those people stayed the same. And I was like, man, I can't come back to this. There's no way I'll ever be able to go back, because I went back for a few years. Um, I went back for a few years, back to my old neighborhood, back to my old town, my old neighborhood, started seeing some of the same old faces and hanging out with some of the same old people that I kind of grew up with. And you know what? Where I had elevated, where I had been out and done all these things, so I had all these cool, crazy stories to tell, or where I had, worked in these different types of environments or been around these different types of people, or, because I've stood in houses and been on golf courses and all these things with high net worth people, or my time in the army, just all of it. And they stood there and they were the same. They sat stagnant and they stayed the same.
I have kind of the same experience too. I have lots of varied experiences. And I think the reason that I always wanted to pursue those experiences is so I can lift my friends up. I was like, hey, I did this cool thing. You want to do it with me? And I always felt like anytime I did something cool, it would just get ignored. I mean, the latest one was obviously the mortgage payoff, 2 years and 9 months. But then I've done so many other cool things. It's like I'm a little bit, I don't wanna say if depressed is the right word, I just don't, feel like opening my mouth anymore, because it's like when you have something exciting and you wanna share with other people and people act like it ain't no big thing, it almost kind of I don't wanna say eats at your soul, but there's something about it that seems like it's this weird spiritual battle that you didn't expect to be a part of. Am I right, boys and girls? Well, let's keep playing.
And so every time I would tell stories or open my mouth, it would sound like I'm bragging, but really I'm just telling stories, but I'm telling them to the wrong people. So when you start to really level up, when you start to really do what's best for you, you start to make more money, you get a better job, you get healthier, whatever it is, you can't bring the people around you with you.
Which is true because that's why I don't open my mouth and tell other people that I paid off a mortgage in 2 years and 9 months.
If they're not willing to walk beside you push you along, motivate you, and do everything that needs to be done, do exactly what you're doing, and then some. That way you guys motivate each other back and forth. And sometimes that's why I miss the Army, man, because it wasn't just me motivating people, it was other people motivating me. So you had competition. It was the first high performance thing that I'd ever done in my life, was being the. I say that, I was on the wrestling team in high school, but
Hey, I did wrestling too. That's actually kind of why I miss high school more than my adult life. I feel like in high school, there was so many more people who motivated me to get to the next level. And then I feel like as an adult, I don't know what it is, but it feels like everyone's trying to drag you down. You know what I mean? Like it's weird because it's like I was actually happy growing up in the city that I grew up in just because I felt like there was a good number of people who would motivate me to get to the next level. Stay in that same city as an adult, and it's almost like some sort of weird spiritual battle or depression. I don't know how to explain it, but I think some of you might know what I'm talking about.
the military was really the first high performance thing that I ever did in my life, because you had to compare yourself against other high performance individuals. We'd take off for a 10, 15, 20-mile run in the mornings and then come back and do your work all day. Or, yeah, I didn't realize that when I was in, but now that I'm out and years have passed, I realize that, man, I was comparing myself to other high performance people, and now I'm alone. And that's very difficult because a lot of people in the civilian sector are not high performance. High performance can be taught, it can be trained, it can be instilled in you. You do not have to be born with it. Being born with it helps, but it can be taught, you can be trained, and it can be instilled within you, because they do that to soldiers. It is hard to go from the United States military, and I hopefully could speak for all branches, and go from being in the United States military and then come back to a civilian life, because a civilian life is way slower. It's way slower.
I think that's probably why there's so many homeless veterans, just because when they come back, they can't relate to the average person. Right? But I also heard these days they just from 2020 to 2024, standards were really low in the military as well. So I don't know if that's true or not, but I heard it was. I might be wrong, but I think the recruitment rate has been getting a little bit higher now. So good on them.
But when I was riding around, I saw a couple faces that I recognized, and I was gonna pull over and shoot the shit. And I was like, nah, for what? Because when I lived here, like, these people weren't fooling with me. They rumored and lied. They ran my name through the ground to the ground, because, man, basically what had happened was I went back to my old neighborhood. I'm driving a $50,000-$60,000 car. I'm wearing, three-piece suits, nice clothes, things like that. They're walking, riding bicycles, driving rust buckets. I mean, everybody's, I grew up in Paducah, Kentucky, little bitty old town, and everybody there, I'd say if you went there, it looks like 2005 right now. The way the people dress, it looks like 2005. And for those that are living in 2025 or 2030 already, they slander the shit out of them.
I wonder what it's like to go there because I kind of liked early 2000s. It feels like a much better society than now. But what did it say? Paducah, Kentucky? Well, let's just.
So because I drove nice, dressed nice, presented myself well, I was gay. And it wasn't just like, oh, some guy called me gay, boo-hoo. It wasn't like that. It was like they harassed you. They spread it through the town. You know what I mean? It was up. And there's no way that I can live in an environment like it. Was so toxic, so nasty. So because I dressed nice, drove nice, I lived nice, I carried myself in a certain manner. I tried to, I had these mannerisms about myself, a politeness, and I'm surrounded by all these fake ass gangsters. I was gay because I had nice clothes and nice watches and all these things that they
Well, folks, that's how you know the markers of success when you're in that little town in Kentucky. If somebody calls you that.
couldn't get themselves. So I was gay. And it was horrible. And they would spread that so much to where it got to where I couldn't even date in that town. And then it got to the point that I didn't want to date. It got to where I didn't want to date there. And I was like, you know what? I don't want anything to do with these people. So that's why I tell you guys, like, all this stuff that I've learned, this is real shit. If you start to do the best things for yourself and you start to really level up your life, the first thing they're going to do is attack your sexuality. If you go from being the mechanic at the garage to a high-end real estate agent, they're going to tell everybody you're gay. I promise you, man. That's like the first thing they do. And I learned that, and I heard that. I heard 50 Cent and Charlemagne the God talk about that in a interview, that the first sign of success is for them to attack your sexuality.
Do they do that to women too? I wonder if they do. Maybe it's a man thing, right?
And so, I had to deal with that. And then every time I turned down one of these old busted Pillsbury can biscuit girls, every time I turned down something like that, they'd be like, oh, he must be gay. He turned me down. He didn't want none of me. And it's like, no, you guys already know my thought process. I don't want unwanted pregnancies. I don't want these problems. I don't want to date just to be dating. It's a waste of time. So I prefer to move forward alone and stay away from it. And so there we go. It'd be like, oh, he must be gay then. He must this, he must that. And so it was always just constant. And if I had conversations telling about, the things I was into or what I was trying to create or what I'm trying to do, like if I went back there and I pulled up on the people that I just saw, and I told them that, hey, man, I'm starting a YouTube channel. I'm trying to get into podcasting and broadcasting, and I'm trying to logo and design and do all these different things, these ideas that I have. It would sound like I'm bragging because they don't have these ideas. Like I told you guys, there are people in the world that are just comfortable with sitting on the porch, drinking beer, and that's fine because we need them. They keep the world in balance. But you can't go back, guys. You can't go back to an old relationship, old town, old friendship, old partnership. When it ends, it ends. Wish them the best, have no ill will, and carry on. You can't go back. And that's another reason why I don't want any more kids, because kids make you hold on to relationships that ultimately end. I don't have a relationship with either one of my son's mothers at all. But because I have children with them, I am forever entwined with them. And those that have kids, you know what I mean. Even if you're not with the partner, with the other parent, you know exactly what I mean. There's always this invisible thread between you. Nobody can see it, but you're always mentally, emotionally scarred, attached, everything with that other person. I don't want any more. I don't want any more children because of shit like that. Because it makes you hold on to a relationship that would have ultimately ended and you would have never spoke to them again. I would have never in my life spoke to my second son's mother again. Ever in my life would I talk to her again. But because we have a kid together, I still don't talk to her. But because we have a kid together, I am forever entwined with this woman. And that's a person that I completely regret in my life. I don't consider my son a mistake. He is here now. But his mother, I wish I would have chose better. She was horrible. She was the type of woman that would go to the bathroom and beat on herself and call the police and act like you did it.
Do you have people like that in your life? Because I feel like I don't know what's up with people, but why do they try to bring you down? You know what I mean? Like, why not like and this is just kind of like a general question, but I know I felt this before with like me being disappointed throughout the years because I've talked about like, hey, no child when they become an adult wants to think that the people they grew up with are worthless. Like, we do things together, we grow up together, but the worst thing is you believing in other people and then they deliberately try to sabotage your life. That's like on another level, and I think that's what turns most people to be like cold-hearted. Yeah. You know what I mean? You know what I'm talking about, right?
100%. She's the type of woman that will go and do a lot of violent, irate things to herself or to property, and then act as if you were the reason, act as if you did it. She'll tear up your cars, tear up your house, call the police and act like it was you. And one time she called the police on me. I wasn't even home. I wasn't even home. And next thing I know, I'm at Walmart shopping and I get a phone call. This is another one of those rambling ass conversations. I'm at Walmart shopping and I get a phone call from a police officer, from a random number. I'm like, who the hell? And it's a police officer. I answer the phone. It's a police officer. He's like, hey, Mr. Eidson, I'm blah, blah, blah. Can you come back here and talk to me? And I'm like, yeah, no problem. And I went back because I knew I didn't do it. If I'd done something, I wouldn't have went. But I went back because I knew I didn't do anything. And it turned into this big old ordeal, big old altercation. But that's 100% who she was as a person. And it's like I would never speak to somebody like that again. But I had a kid with her. So now I just don't speak to her at all. I just pay my support and I move on.
In business, you only get one chance to make a great first impression.
And one of you guys had asked me, I'm sorry, I don't remember who it was, that asked me in the comments, you said, man, aren't you scared that child support will see these videos and find out? And no, I'm not scared. I'm not scared at all. I thought about that in the very beginning before I started doing this, because ultimately I'm exposing myself to the masses. And I thought about that before I started doing this. But no, I'm not scared, man. And the reason I'm not scared is because we all know it takes 2 to 5 years to build and brand a business. My son is 13 years old. So it's going to take 2 to 5 years for me to build and brand this. You know, if I fast track it, I could probably start doing something decent in 2 years, but it'll probably take me 5 years before I see a real return on the investment.
Yeah, and that's actually a good time frame, right? So this channel is not even 2 years old. At least I don't think it is, and we're getting good traction. So good thing to think, or good way to think about creating your YouTube channel and your brand, right? Give yourself a little bit of time, 2 to 5 years.
Who knows though? Who knows? It's the internet. It's the way to it's a way to reach a massive amount of people. It's a way to scale at a very high rate of speed. It's the internet. So who knows? Maybe I blow up by summer. Who knows? But am I scared? No, not at all. Because who am I to run from it? Look at all the successful people. This is why I tell you guys there's no way to beat the child support system. Because look at all the successful people that have had to pay child support. Tom Cruise just came off child support at $33,000 a month. 50 Cent was on child support paying over, I think he was paying $54,000 or $56,000 a month. You got Robert De Niro and Al Pacino's old asses on child support right now. You know what I'm saying? So like, who am I to try and run from it? Who am I to try to beat it? So if I blow up on a massive scale, I'm not going to go willfully give this information over. But if I blow up on a massive scale, you can guarantee the first thing I'm going to do is hire 2 attorneys. I'm going to start setting things up and trusting this and that and I'm going to do the things I need to do, and I'm going to protect myself. And I'm going to give them the bare minimum because they've done nothing to create it. It's not my son's fault. It's not, he'll get whatever. He needs college, whatever, things like that. I've already thought about this. If I create enough for myself, then he can still get whatever. It's not his fault at all. It's his mother's. And I'm going to do whatever I can to postpone it to where she receives nothing. And that's the God's honest truth, man. I'll hire a couple lawyers and I'll have them say, hey, I got no problem with paying this amount of money, but lock it into an account for the boy, because his mother will waste every dollar of it. She's wasting every dollar. He's already received over $100,000 in child support already, and she's wasted every dollar of it. If you look her up, I'm not going to throw her name out there, but if you looked her up, you would just see where she's bought cars and motorcycles and stupid shit. Just bought shit for no reason. And he's got nothing to show for it, but he doesn't understand it because he's too young. He thinks it's cool. He thinks his mom's doing the damn thing. He doesn't understand it. And the sickest thing, man, that I think of is the only way he'll ever really understand is if it happens to him. And this is why I tell women, what are you going to say to your sons when some woman does them the exact same way you did their father? Because the sickest thing to me is that the only way for him to understand this is for it to happen to him. And as his father, I do not want it to happen to him. So
I feel like that's true, not just of this, but of life in general. You know how many times, like, I've talked about how college is a waste of time to young people because it literally is a waste of time and money, and nobody believed me. And now that the current generation of adults are figuring it out, like people only learn when it happens to them, which is pretty unfortunate.
I would just rather he did not understand. You understand what I'm saying? I would rather he just not understand, because I would never want him to go through. I wouldn't want either one of my sons to go through what I've had to go through with this. But to jump back to it, man, you know, there's just no way. When I was riding around my town and I was just thinking and looking, I was like, there's no way I can come back here. My mindset has so much, I've elevated too far past these people. I've shifted so much to where I don't understand them, and they won't understand me, because I'll never understand why you would want to stay stagnant in a position like that of nothingness, and they'll never understand me. And that's how I'll always look at them as bums, and they'll always run around telling everybody I'm gay and I'm this and I'm that, because I chose to create a better life for myself. You can't climb the mountain of success by holding on to the weight of the past. I've told you guys this a million times. You cannot climb the mountain of success by holding on to the weight of the past. In order for you to get to wherever you're trying to go, in order for something new to appear in your life, something old has to go away. You have to get rid of something for something new to come. You have to make room for it. I don't know what it is. I don't know what's in your life. I don't know what it is, but you're going to have to get rid of something to make room for it. That's why I tell you guys to sell your shit, get back to zero, pay off your debt, sell your shit. It's the fastest way to do it. Get back to zero and start stacking cash. You get cash heavy. If you do that, you'll fully understand what Robert Edson's talking about. For anybody in the comments that's already told me they've sold off a couple things to do this, to do that, then you already get it. Because it's like, dude, I parted with a few items and now I've paid off X amount of dollars worth of debt and I'm so closer to zero, or I am back to zero, and now I'm getting cash heavy and I'm getting ready to prepare myself, position myself to execute on a vision, on a plan, on investments. And that's why I tell people to do that, man, because there is no way for something new to enter your life while you try to hold on to everything that you have from the past. It's just impossible. So maybe you're sitting on a bunch of money right now. Maybe you got 20 grand and you hate where you live, but you don't want to spend the 20 grand. Then you better suck it up and get used to where you're living, because it's going to cost you that much just to leave. It's going to cost you 5 to 10 grand just to move, 20 grand to do it comfortable and nice and move into a decent place. And it's going to cost money.
Wow. You know what's funny? Maybe because I'm just a cheapo when it comes to things that don't really are not related to making money or health. Like that's where I spend most of my money on food. But I every time I move, I never pay to anybody because I have like a couple of computers and maybe like a couch and that's it. So 20 grand to move. Yikes.
Money. So you're over here trying to hold on to what little money you have. Whenever you moving to a new location, to a new city, a new town, may be the best thing. Maybe you spend that 20 to move to a new town, and then you find a great job, which you should apply for jobs before you move, just saying, but you find a great job paying you double or triple, because I mean, it's out there, I promise, than what the company in your little town is paying you. And you've moved and now you've doubled your income. The 20 grand comes right back. You're in a better location. Within that first year, year and a half, you got your 20 grand back. You got a better job. You're doing better. You're living better. You're happier. You're healthier. You're around better people. You hear what I'm saying? In order for something new to come in, something old must go. I don't know what that old is, but it must go.
It was called leaving California for me. I never really regretted coming here, but it's just kind of made me sad that California as a whole used to be like, quote, the destination. And ironically, people who are leaving California, maybe they're going back to his little hometown and doing a little bit of California fornication. Although, um, now that I think about it, it's like that's probably not a good thing either, right? Probably a lot of people in Tennessee, Texas, complaining about how all the people are leaving California, but that's because they made that place into a hellhole. So it's like, you know, conclusion, the whole world is a hellhole because if you come from a backwards ass or oh, I actually cussed. If you come from a backwards place, let's say, and I'm using his words, right? Let's say from that little place in Kentucky, you think like, oh man, people will be so much more open-minded in like, let's say a city like Los Angeles. They're just as bad or probably even worse. So it's not like moving necessarily solves your problems, but I do get the concept of you selling your stuff. So let's say you spend 20, you sell 20 grand worth of stuff so that you're able to move to another place and then you are getting a ROI because the place that you're going to gives you so much more money, right? Like I get that concept though.
And never go back. Never go backwards, man. Do not go back to old relationships, friendships, boyfriend, girlfriend, jobs, towns, people, places, things. Do not go back to it, man. Once you leave, it's like an old buddy of mine told me in the Army. He told me, he's like, you left home for a reason. Why would you go back? When I told him I was getting out and I was going to go back home, he was like, you left home for a reason. Why would you go back? And that stuck with me forever. And he was right. Because when I went back, my mindset, after a decade in the Army going back home, I was a completely different person. And they stayed the same. They never got off the porch. They sat around smoking weed, drinking and bullshitting their whole time away. And I was a completely different person. I'd lived all over the country from Atlanta to LA. I'd been all over the world to multiple different countries. CONUS or no CONUS, man, I'd been all over the place. So I would tell them stories about Dubai, and they looked like I was bragging. Really, I was just talking.
And that's what happens with your life as you level up. Remember that when I talk about The Simpsons, where Homer shows his coworker he went to space, and then he goes, "Space? You've never been?" And that's how I feel nowadays. That's why I like to keep quiet. Although I do use this YouTube channel to brag about things that I've done once in a while.
I was just having these conversations, so I can't hang out with people like that no more. And that'll be the same way for you guys, man. If you go from 40 grand a year and you start making 85, six figures, you can't go back to hanging out with the 40 grand a year people, man. Unless they fully understand and have the mindset like we have, you can't go back there and hang out with them anymore because they're going to think you're bragging. When you're like, man, I was able to save 10 grand, or I'm able to buy a new car, or I got a new watch, they're going to look at you like you're bragging, like you're just freaking, oh, look at this gloating asshole telling me what he did and this. They start to secretly hate on you. They do. And it's like, man, you didn't see how hard I worked. You didn't see all the hours I put in, the nights that I struggled. You didn't see me living on nothing, really beans and rice, for me to be able to get to where I'm at. You know what I'm saying? You didn't see any of that. That's what you hear these people talk about, an overnight success. You know what I'm saying? But nobody saw the 5 or 10 years worth of grinding and getting after it. But then all of a sudden you're an overnight success.
If you only list your vacation home on Airbnb, you might get someone looking for a little studio. But if you list it on Vrbo,
Side note, you know how you know that Airbnb is beating you is when your commercials you have to talk about Airbnb. Although I've never used Verbo before, I've used Airbnb. But let's back to the video.
I mean, it's like you weren't there putting in the work with me, and now you hate on me because, I worked my ass off in the dark while you were sleeping, drinking, and partying. I worked my ass off for 5 years or 10 years, and then boom, I'm successful, I'm rich, I'm getting after it, and I got what I wanted, and you hate me for that. You know what I'm saying? But that's what they do. I've never hated anyone because of what they had. I've always looked at them and I've realized it's like my granddaddy told me, man. My granddaddy said he's a old school Marine from the Korea War era, and he said if the man in front of you can do it, you can do it too. If the man in front of you can do it, you can do it too. And that's stuck with me for the rest of my life because so far, I mean, I'll never forget it. If the man in front of you can do it, you can do it too.
I think my version of that is if I can do a spreadsheet, you can do a spreadsheet too. And I'm pointing at you.
Because when I see somebody that's successful, wealthy, driving a nice car that I want, or living in a house or a family or whatever it is that I like and I want it, I'm like, man, how did he get it? What does he do? I want to know that guy. I don't hate that guy. I'm not mad at that guy. I'm not jealous of that guy. I want to know him. I want to know his secrets. I want to know his tips, his tricks. What did he do? That's who I am. And I mean that. I mean that, guys. I mean, that's who I am. I want to know what he did. I want him to teach me, show me. I want this person to tell me what he did, to point me in the right direction. Never do I look at him like, look at that asshole with all this money and with this and with that. I'm a white kid from the ghetto, man. Nobody knows hate like I do. I've experienced so much hate from the people I grew up around that I'll never go back home. That shit, there's nothing there for me, man. I'm glad to be from there. It gave me my start. I appreciate it, but fuck them. That's it. That's where they're at. Fuck them. They can stay there. And I'll never go back. And it reminded me that as I rode around that town, like no matter what, I don't give a shit. If I got to take my camping gear and go sleep in the woods, I'm never coming back here. There's nothing there. There's no jobs there. There's no job market. And the housing is high as hell.
It's funny. It's like, how can the housing be that high if there's no job market? You know what I mean? Like, you would think it'd be the opposite, but I feel like because there's such a housing shortage, even with places with no jobs there, or maybe it's all the remote workers, um, people they can't afford a home, even in the boonies, right?
So when I see the people there, I'm like, why the hell are you here? And then you're mad at me because I left. You know what I'm saying? Fuck them. You stay there. Enjoy it. So I don't know, man. You can't go back, guys, ever. You can't go back. So anyways, I'll probably leave it there. I just want to jump on here and shoot the shit with you guys. I was thinking about you for a second. Just want to jump on here. I know some of you look for my videos. I know some of you look for me to post in the mornings. The Six Figure Morning Show is going to run continuously Monday through Friday at 6 a.m. I'll hop on the weekends. You know, we'll do some lives on the weekends and this and that, because ultimately I'm developing a friendship with you guys, and you guys with me as well. I've even the ones I've gotten to where I enjoy each one of you. I really have. I'm starting to learn each one of you, and it's a great group, and I like it. I really do. So I don't want to leave anybody hanging. Uh, you guys asked me a lot of great questions. And I got big plans for the channel. I got big plans for a lot of things as time goes on. I got big plans to do things, and working with some guys behind the scenes. And, you know, hopefully we can launch a few things here coming up real soon. 2025 feels like our year, feels like my year. I know it's going to be your year. Guys, I'm telling you, stack your cash. The deals are coming. I'm really thinking 2028, 2030, and that time frame is when you're going to start seeing a lot of deals come out. I really think so. Start paying attention, start educating yourself, get your preparations in order. I think you probably still got 4 or 5 years, and I think you're going to see some deals roll out. So definitely get your jobs together, get your incomes together, get the debts paid down, stack some cash, buy some gold and silver, get your food preparations. Do what you got to do for you and your family. Build a good foundation. Do what you got to do for you and your family. Build a good foundation, guys. But other than that, man, I'm going to shut up. You guys have a great freaking weekend. Have a great freaking Saturday afternoon. Have a great freaking Saturday night. Probably jump on here tomorrow, Sunday, and do a live around 6 p.m. I'll leave a thing in the community tab for it. Yeah, that's it, man. You guys have a great weekend.
All right. Well, that's in a way. I mean, I don't exactly mirror his situation because I'm not from Kentucky and I'm not from a small town, from a boring suburb that was quite rich. And there's a kind of a level of spiritual depression in that area as well. I feel like it affects the whole country, but I feel like when you move to a new place, because you're not, let's say, mentally constrained by like the social environment, it doesn't affect you as much, right? Like if I remember like 2 years ago, I was back in California and my mind was becoming like super depressed. And I couldn't explain why. I was like, why do I feel this way? And it's just like, you want to explain what you're doing with your life to the people that you know, and they act like you're the dumbest person in the world. Right? I'm pretty sure some of you understand what I'm talking about when it comes to like explaining velocity banking to other people. Although, nowadays I do get people telling me like they explained it to somebody that they know, and that now that it's kind of keeping getting traction, which is pretty cool. You have a lot more success than I do. You're a better evangelist than I am, right? So let's see what the comments here. Um, Love how older experienced people are making channels on YouTube now. It's been full of teens and early 20s kids so long. New era, LFG. Let's effing go. I think that's what it means. Sometimes burnt bridges are better than halfway open doors. Most people are jealous and insecure. They cannot accept others doing well. Sad. All right. Well, that's it for today, folks. So I have a little bit of curiosity going back to California just because I always see so many like California has fallen videos, but I wonder what it's like nowadays. All right. Well, that's it. And have a great day, everybody. Leave a comment if you have any thoughts about this, and I'll see you on the next one.